is 7:03 and you are now live.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the May 3rd meeting of Parks and Recreation. I'm Chair Beth Ashbaugh. I will start with roll call. Carolyn Marks.
Here.
Brett Heindel.
Here.
Trevor Huntsman. Libby Cudmore.
Here.
Councilmember Katie Lapari-Shu. Katie, are you muted?
I think she's muted.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
She probably did that for a reason, so.
Parks Director Lou Lansing. Administrator. Yep. All right. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes that I sent this morning? If not, we can approve them next meeting.
Oh, I had a chance to preview them.
I did too.
Brett, did you get a chance? Oh. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. How does that go again?
Libby, did you get a chance to look at them?
Libby?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
All right. Anybody have any issues or comments with those?
Nope.
No.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Who wants to move motion to approve the minutes?
I will.
Okay. And second,
I will second that.
Carolyn. All right. And then next on the agenda is the Parks Administrator report. Lou?
Did you all get my report that I
Yeah.
sent? Okay. I'm just gonna buzz down through this real quick. I know you can all read and have had the chance to look at it, but just want to remind you that our first park event's coming up, and that's the Nika bike race. It's going to be a very small section of Wilbur Park. It's not going to be the as much as it has been in the past, but believe me, they're working with Oneonta High School, and I'm sure that it's going to be a safe, fun event for the kids. So that's May 15th and 16th. The dog park is a little bit, I don't want to say stalled, but weather is impacting us there because they're planning to do, Suco is helping us with the grass seeding, and it has to be done where you're going to have 2 dry days. And unfortunately, we're in the monsoon season right now. So we're going to have to wait a little bit. We're hoping next week. This week doesn't look too good, but we're hoping next week. So that's where we are with that. The dog park committee does have their next meeting the 20th of this month, where hopefully we're going to get the rules finished off and go from there. But anyway, the pickleball and tennis court restoration project has been schedule has been sent to Nagel. They think they can accommodate our schedule. All of what we're asking them to do, we're asking them to do it in phases. So they're not saving everything till we're completely done, because we have a small window from the time the high school finishes with the court, which is roughly the second week of June, till the youth tennis program starts, which is I think July 8th is their start date. So we don't have a lot of time there. So we're asking them to do it in phases so that it can be done on time. So we're hoping that the pickleball courts will be done. The plan is to have the pickleball courts resurfaced and relined by before Memorial Day weekend, so that they can be enjoyed that weekend. And we're hoping to have all of the tennis courts done by the 4th of July weekend, and probably before that. So we're hoping that project will be done by then. And, you know, I'll keep you posted on that. I hope you all got the pictures of Fairyland alive and well. It's so exciting. Carolyn drew my attention to it, and I had to go up and enjoy it. It's just so fun to walk through there. The kids are doing a great job with that, as usual. So
I was so glad to see that return.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The kids are just creative, I'll tell you.
Mhm.
Hope you all got the concert series schedule. They're all booked and ready to go. What we think we're going to do with the concerts, Gary Lang from the Oneonta Outlaws has been wonderful about offering Demoski Field again. That
Yay.
area.
Yeah.
So I talked to him today about the possibility of us putting up the tent again. I thought it might be in his way, but he's great. He was like, no, let's put the tent up. And this year we will, the people won't come inside. We'll make sure the musicians are safe. They'll be under the tent. We're going to open up all the iron gates and let everybody sit out there. They'll still have access to all the restrooms, but yet they won't go in on Gary's field or anything. So I think it's going to work out great. I think Gary may even open his concession stand. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, but he was all excited to maybe sell something to drink to people. So we'll
That
see
makes
how that
sense
works
to
out.
me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
so I think it's going to be great for all of us. So, but I'll keep you posted on that. Kyle Manley, who works at Springbrook, has 3 volunteers that called us up and asked to help us with some park cleanup. We were glad to have them, as always. So they're going to help. They're going to clean the courts before all the Oneonta High School home matches, and that'll free the guys up from having to do that. And we also have about 2 million pine cones down on the ground in Wilbur Park. They're going to help us with some of that. And then if they still have time and aren't worn down from all that, maybe have them pick up some trash through the park, which is always a problem. But we're so happy to have them, and they've been so wonderful. So we're excited about that. Their first day should be May 13th. And just so you know, the co-ed soccer league that you all approved for Catella, which was supposed to start in June, he withdrew his application. I
Oh.
suspect, I don't know. He didn't tell me why. I'm guessing maybe his numbers were low in light of COVID. And there are a lot of things that are required that you do now with COVID to do an event. So he withdrew, but hopefully that will come back in the future. This is just an FYI. All organizations requesting park space, and we've talked about this before, must complete the New York Forward COVID-19 safety plan as required. That's required by New York State. And because New York State requires it, the county and the city are also requiring it. The county, the state of New York, the county or the city may ask to review those plans prior to authorization of using the park. Right now, the participation numbers for park outdoor events is 200. I see the governor just signed something as of May 10th. I think it's going to 500 for outdoor space. I'll confirm that later, but I believe that's what it's going to be. We do have lower limits in all of our park pavilions. The large Neowa Park Pavilion, 78. The Kiwanis, which is the smaller one over closer to the highway, is 18. The Longhouse Pavilion, which is over by the pickleball courts, is 30. The large pavilion in Wilbur Park has the most capability, it's 90. And the smaller Bill Martin on the lower level is 24. The norm is the large pavilions are usually 200. And the small pavilions are usually roughly right around 30. So that's what it is in normal times. All stipulations are still in effect: mask use, social distances, and those who have been exposed, have tested positive, or who have symptoms may not participate. So I will tell you that the city and the YMCA have had their meeting in regard to the swim program and opening of Wilbur Park Pool. Right now, I can say its official opening date will be July 1st. The reason why it's a little bit later is school goes a little bit later this year. So July 1st, they will open the pool. They will have swim lessons. We will have their safety around water, which they couldn't offer last year. They will offer this year, which is another week for the kids. And I think that that's great. The only holdup right now is we're waiting for some guidance from the state on what they're going to allow for afternoon programming. So we're holding up. I will let you know in June about all of that. So that's the reason why I didn't give you all that information. We do have most of that from the Y, but I didn't give it to you tonight because I want to make sure that we have everything all together. So everything for the pool, we will go along the same guidelines that we had last year in light of COVID. We may, they are thinking about extending the use of the pool a little bit later than we did last year. So, but I'll let you know all that in June. Okay. That's my parks report. And unless someone has questions for me, I'm not going to go into petitioners until we get to that section.
Okay.
Lou, I do have a question. Will the Y offer their summer recreation programs in the parks?
That's the afternoon
Summer?
program. It won't
The
be at the
afternoon?
park. It will be at the Y.
It will be at the Y, so they are not going to use Niwa or Wilbur Park at all for any.
No,
summer
unless they walk over to visit, but I doubt it. I think they can
Okay.
control everything better.
Better at the
YMCA.
Y. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lou, very much. Always, it's a good read, your reports. I'm
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
it's always
yeah.
long. You need to keep awake. You
Very
need to take your
thorough.
no-dos or
Very
something.
thorough,
So it goes-
yes.
I like them. Okay, petitioners.
Okay, that's me again. So I will tell you, Kathy Daly, who is the Director of Special Events at the Otsego County Chamber of Commerce, called me and would very much like to offer to have a tournament, a fundraiser for the chamber at using all the pickleball courts. I told her right now, she asked for May or June. And I told her right now, we don't have 8 courts, we have 6. And if she can wait till June and you all approve it, I think we can have all 8 after they've done the restorations there and put down official lines. What she hopes to have is a one-day tournament on, she picked Saturday, July 26th, which gives us time, and that's good, for a double elimination adults doubles tournament. She doesn't have a fee at this time. The rain date she's asked for is the 27th, the next day. I think this is could be a great thing. This is what we wanted when we built the pickleball courts. We said, if we build more, they will come. And this is the first group that's asked for a tournament. She's very interested in having local people in the tournament. So I think it'll be a great opportunity. I think probably half the pickleball people will be first to sign up. So I think it's a great thing. So you all have to decide if you will host and want to do this and vote on it.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to ask about this? No. Okay. We'll go to a vote now. Any opposed? No.
No,
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay. All right.
That's yes.
That's
Okay,
yes.
I will tell you that I did ask her, occasionally people ask, are you going to have a one rate for city residents and a different rate for everybody else? I did ask her that, but we both agreed most things don't do that. We do that for only in people visiting our pools. City residents are free. And we do it in our pavilion rentals as well, but we're not going to do it for this. This is a fundraiser, and we don't do it with any of our other fundraising events, our walkathons and our pit run and all of those things. So I think it's fair that it's a fundraiser, and I think Oneonta people will storm the bridges to get into this. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. Thank you for that. I'll let her know. Thomas Mollet, I think I'm saying his name right, who is the principal at OHS Middle School, contacted me requesting use of Wilbur Park on Friday the 25th. His time's on there, 9 to 2, for OMS Fun in the Sunday, outdoor activities for their 8th graders. They hope to use the large pavilion, the playground area, and the upper level of the park. Their permit will include Wilbur trails and road race for their hike, scavenger hunts, capture the flag activities for that day. I will tell you that when he first requested this, he wanted exclusive use of the park. We considered that for about 5 minutes, but it's really not, in my opinion, fair to close the park to other people, especially city residents, telling them they can't come into the park because we're going to have a group into the park. I think it also sets a terrible precedent for other events. So I told him, well, he's, if you all say yes, he's welcome to be in the park that day, as long as they do all the mask wearing and social distancing. The one thing we can count on, if anybody's stricter than the city of Oneonta, then it's going to be the school systems. They do a phenomenal job of this.
Oh, yes.
So their numbers will include up to 125 students. He thinks he might have a little less than that, but I think he has actually 123 eighth graders, plus 15 to 20 staff members and parents. I think that they're going to be supervised like crazy. I have also offered them the only restrooms when before the pool opens, the only restrooms right now in Wilbur Park on the upper level at the large pavilion. And that's just 2 bathrooms. I think that that's a very small number. So we have offered him to use for his use the restrooms that are at the Candy Shack. I've given him a key for that, and the restrooms at the Candy Shack, so that they have other facilities available. I think with that many people, they're going to need more facilities. So what do you think?
Great idea.
I'm all in favor of this, but I'm just kind of curious because the other day, one of my senior client is a client who's a senior, said that originally prom was scheduled to be at Neola Park or in one of the parks, and then it got canceled. Now it's going to be in the parking lot at the high school. Did I get that? Is that wrong information?
No one
Was
no one ever came to me with a prom request.
Oh,
I will tell you, we did get a request for just an email request for one of the pavilions, and it wasn't for a prom. It said for a senior class event in one of the pavilions. And we talked about it. Greg, Carrie, myself, we all talked about it. And our feeling was that it would certainly be over the number allowed in the pavilion, the large pavilion, 78. And besides that, they may very well be over the 200 person limit at that time. And so we said we didn't think we could do it. And when I responded back to her that I didn't think we could do it, she said, not to worry, they already found a place. So
okay.
that's the only thing that I've heard from the high
That could have been it. All right. Okay. I was just curious,
So
what? Okay.
Again, I hate saying no, but that's where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's very well supervised and maintaining COVID protocols, I'm in favor.
Me too. Do we have to
So,
have a
okay.
formal motion for this? Or
I think you do.
Yeah. So, okay. So, any opposition? Yes. All in favor?
Yes.
Yep. Unanimous, everybody. I've got to flip through everybody's faces here. Okay. All right. Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Yes,
again,
vote on
remember
that.
all these events follow protocols. They not only apply, they have to do the New York Forward Plan. They have to confirm to me that they have their plan in place, and they have to have it prepared if we request seeing it. I don't think that that's especially true of the school districts. Like I said, I think they do a superb job. So, all right, thank you for that one. The last petitioner that I have is Paul Conway, and he's the Juneteenth Committee representative. I don't know if he's the president or what his role is exactly, but he contacted me from the Juneteenth Committee, which is part of the Oneonta NAACP, requesting use of field number 5's grassy area and the bandstand stage for their event on Saturday, June 19th for their celebration. He hasn't given me a specific time, so I just guessed at that time on there. That's why it's in parentheses. pending approval of their New York Forward Safety Plan, city park requirements, and of course, their certificate of insurance. I will tell you that it's very likely, if you pass this, that the city will request, in fact, I would probably recommend that we request seeing their safety plan, because I believe it's very likely that this will attract more than 200 people to the park. It is past the May 10th date, so maybe it could be up at 500. So maybe I can take all that back after we get that, but just so you know.
Okay. I would love, I'm in favor of this pending all, passing all the insurance and everything.
And I will tell you, Brett, you're probably the only one that's going to remember this, because you were on the committee when they had this, I believe 2 years ago for the first time. And they didn't come to the commission. They just went right straight to council and got permission, and that's fine. They could do that, but I think it's nice that they're going through the commission.
Yeah,
this year.
and I know Paul pretty well, and he's meticulous. He's very detail
He is.
oriented. He's going to do everything by the books.
He is. He just about died when I walked him through the process of all the things he has to do. But he was like, "Okay, Lou, I'll do them." And he had a little trouble with the application, but we got it in. And, and Paul's great. He's great. So
Okay.
So we're good on that one.
We're good. Yeah. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Perfect.
Any opposed? No? Okay.
Thank you for your patience with all that. And
Okay.
by the way, Beth, I didn't mention, you know me, I've always got one more thing. I hope you all took a look at, I gave you the month-long calendar in all of your materials here. This is everything that's scheduled in the park right now. So you might want to look at it. This is basically what I give our park staff, but I break it up a little bit differently. I don't give them one massive schedule. I give them what's in the pavilion, what's in Damaski, what's in, anyway, but you got it
It
all
looks
in
like
one
a
thing.
lot of baseball,
Yeah, well, baseball is one of those sports that's safe right now. So
right? Okay. Okay,
Hey,
and then,
before, I was
Yeah,
just
I
gonna
was
say,
getting-
before we move
yeah.
on, is this a good time for me to bring up those things that were
yes, I
brought
was
to
just getting,
me?
yep.
Ah, okay, cool. So, let me pull up my email so that I make sure that I don't miss anything. It's good when I have things in writing. I know that one of them was that someone, in the first ward has built a receptacle for fishing line, waste, used fishing line, so that to protect birds from getting tangled in it and ultimately dying. And so they were sort of wondering what the process is for approval and getting that installed in the park. And I would assume that this, I'm talking with Lou, and probably engineering is or DPW is probably the best way to go about it. So if you guys want to have some discussion on that at some point during the meeting, it's up to the chair whether you guys want to do it now or add it to new business. do you
Could we
think?
stop right there a second?
Sure, yeah.
If it's the same person, I'm guessing it is.
I would assume.
Sandy Bright.
Okay.
She emailed me today, and I emailed her back, hoping that she would call me this week and we could talk about this to make sure we're all clear on what she wants. My only reservation, and I talked to Greg about this today, is technically there's no fishing in Neowell Park.
Gotcha.
Now, that's the rule. There's no fishing in our parks, period. However, there are many individuals who fish in the mill race, which is in the park, which we don't authorize them to do so, but they do. And I'm guessing that some of that fishing line that she's talking about has maybe snagged one of the birds, or maybe gets a lot of them. I have no idea.
Gotcha.
And so I'm hesitant to tell her yes until we talk. I'm not sure what should we put up receptacles saying, put your fishing line in here when we say to them, you're not supposed to fish?
Right.
Right.
So that's my dilemma a little bit, but Greg and I have been talking, maybe the no fishing policy can be altered. My personal opinion about fishing at the, in which I told Carolyn earlier, fishing at the mill race, I don't think it does any harm. I mean, yes, I don't want them to hurt the birds, but that's an activity that everybody can do, young and old, fit or not. A lot of people enjoy that. I think it's really too bad if we tell them they can't do it and put up signage saying they can't do it. But until we change the rules, we have to decide. I suspect what we'll do is let her go ahead and put up her receptacle. She's gone to a lot of effort. She's caring about things. I think that's a good thing to do. And then we can maybe later discuss whether we should allow fishing there or not. And
Yeah,
maybe change that rule.
And does that become an insurance thing if someone slips and falls?
I suspect it's a liability issue. That's exactly what I suspect. And maybe we'll have to talk to our attorney about that. David Merzick, I don't know. But that's certainly something we can go through the process. But Katie, I will talk to her in the meantime, and I think we can accommodate her request.
Well, and I think it's a good opportunity to get the insight of those on the commission. Do you guys think, because, Lou, I know you do an excellent job and you take care of a lot of business. You have these folks who can kind of help guide your steps a little bit. So I'm wondering what the commission thinks about the receptacle. I think Libby brought up a good liability question that gives us a next step of, like you said, Lou, talking to the city attorney. I would also be inclined to hear from the commission what you guys think about allowing fishing at the mill race, like Lou had suggested. I think the opinions of the commission are held in high regard, when things are brought to the council. So I think it'd be good to have that discussion if you guys are open to it. I'd be interested to hear from y'all.
I do have a question with fishing. Do you have to have a license?
I think people should be licensed. I think we should buy a license.
I think in New York State, it's the law. Fishing in any,
but I think if we say we can allow it, I think it has to be part of what we say. You have to have a license. Okay. Just like if you go to the dog park, you're going to have your dog license. I think it's the same kind of idea.
Okay.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
There are free fishing days. That's
yes. Yes.
But aside from that,
there are. And I think when we're considering fishing in the mill race, I think that can also apply to Oneonta Creek that runs through Wilbur, because I think some people do fish in there. I don't know how many fish are in there, but I think some people do fish.
Just for the enjoyment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen a fish in that creek.
I've never seen a fish in there either, but.
But it's a nice way to spend an afternoon, I guess.
And I think the wonderful thing about fishing in the mill race is it's also an option to help with the fish population.
Oh, good.
Because I think we're going to even be more populated when we take the fish out of Hodges Pond and put it there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, but.
My question is where, I mean, if we go back to the original question about the receptacle, where would that be?
I don't know. I've got to talk to her. She may have an idea of where she wants to put it. I don't know.
Well, because putting it in the mill race, that makes sense to me. But I know that if you go a little bit further into Catella Park, and there's sort of that bend around that goes by the soccer fields, there are a couple of little places there by the river that people have clearly.
That's the fishing places, yeah.
Yeah, they definitely go fishing there. And so I guess I'm just wondering, is there a way to sort of bracket this and keep it in the mill race? Because I have a feeling it's just going to inevitably spill over into the river. Not literally spill, but figuratively spill over.
I'm not sure what you mean. I don't understand that.
Okay, I guess what I mean is that people are going to start fishing at the mill race, and then they're going to gradually creep over and over and over, and then suddenly they're by the river.
So you want to know how?
So you're asking how many receptacles would there be? Right? So,
It's
but
a-
like,
It's
do
a
we
ser-
supply receptacles to all these spaces now that, you know?
I think she's just built one. That's my
Okay,
impression.
okay.
But I haven't talked to her, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Are you talking about enforcement, Brett?
I guess I'm anticipating a future problem down the road, which is maybe not exactly germane to the issue of the receptacles, but it's more about, sort of the slippery slope kind of argument is that, you open it to the mill race and then it sort of expands and expands.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
not
you
saying
can
that that's the reason
fish
not
in
to
the
do it.
river anyway. Why couldn't you fish in the river?
Well, I don't know.
You can. Fishing is
Well,
allowed in the river as long as you have a license.
That's not under our jurisdiction.
No, and we don't have any
Yeah.
say over the river, so.
So, okay.
But yeah, I think what that makes me think of, Brett, is like enforcement, right? Like, how do we just make sure that if we do open
Sure.
it up, that people are fishing where we intend them to? And I think that's a decent consideration. I mean, if they're fishing there now, and I feel like this is always the retort to the slippery slope argument, is that people are sort of doing it anyway. So,
But well, and that's one of the things I love about Oneonta is that, so many things happen and there's no rules really. It's just sort of catch as catch can.
You love
It's just
that?
really, it's really
Self-love.
hard to, those things are hard to enforce. We've had no smoking in the park since 2017.
I just wrote
However,
Lou about that.
People are constantly smoking. I will tell you that I pick up cigarette butts in my parking lot every day. But what do you do? I mean, if you can ask them, I don't know how many people I walk up to and I say, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, sir, but are you aware that there's no smoking in the park? We do have it on our website. I just gave you a whole list of rules that are there that I think most people have never been looked at. It's a slippery slope about how many signs we put in the park. We could put up 100 signs about not doing things and people are going to say, I didn't see them. We have no fishing signs and no smoking signs and no feeding the geese signs around Hodges Pond. However, people still do that. All you can do is do your best. And that's what we're trying to do. I will tell you, as far as the fishing thing will go, I'm absolutely opposed to allowing fishing in Hodges Pond, period. Because I think that that's something that should be saved for our children catch and release programs. I think it should also be saved for our partnering with the DEC on their free fishing days to have controlled fishing in that environment, especially since taxpayer dollars are stocking that facility. That's my opinion. I'm sorry to talk so much, but that's my feeling.
Well, then that might even explain why there is no fishing anywhere unless approved by the parks.
I really suspect that Libby hit the nail on the head. It's a liability issue.
Yeah.
But if it's happening anyway, and quite honestly, like I said, I think there's a lot of things that could be a liability issue. Our skate park could be a liability issue too. I mean, somebody could fall and really get hurt there, but we have it and we hope that people are safe about how they use it. So,
right.
I feel like an at your own risk sign goes a really long way. But it's interesting, it's good that we brought up the state and the river, because I think that it's always helpful to remember that other places and other municipalities and other governing bodies allow things. And so there probably is some precedent for this. The state allows people to fish in the river and other waterways. We can look into how they avoided liability doing that too, to figure out how we can go forward. So, but I get the sense, I don't know, I get the sense that with the seriousness that we're considering and discussing this, that most people on the commission would generally support changing the fishing policy. Is that, can I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or Does anybody want to talk to me about it? Brett is thinking deeply.
Yeah, I'd support, looking it over again
Okay.
to sort of assess those liability. I don't want to say, yes, I'll support it right now, or no.
Sure, of course.
But I absolutely support looking at it and sort of leaning towards, I like the, at your own risk.
I think if, if David Merzick doesn't know a reason not to look at it, I think that he's the best resource we have. He's
Totally.
been around for a while, and he certainly has knowledge about these things. I mean, Carolyn and I have been around for a while, and neither one of us can remember why the city made this policy.
Yeah.
So David's maybe a year or two older, so.
And he's the one who would have to litigate it. So if
Yes.
he doesn't mind, then
Exactly.
then that's good.
I think he's a good resource for us.
Yeah. For sure.
And Katie, to get to your question, I agree with Libby. I think it's worth considering, talking about considering, possibly maybe thinking about
Okay.
deciding at a future date.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some reservations, but I'm not really a Fisher person. So,
Fisher person.
I don't approach this from a place of knowledge. All I know is that I've seen like a youngish guy fly fishing in Oneonta Creek. And I think about like if that guy were to try fly fishing at the mill race where people are walking and running by, and the idea of hooks flying around, that sounds kind of scary to me. But what do I know,
Well,
You
that
couldn't-
actually, that's
I
a
will
good
tell
point,
you-
because
Yeah, it is.
I
you
will
could
tell
just-
you, as somebody who has fished and does fly fishing and regular fishing, that it would be nearly impossible if you didn't have waders on to fly fish there.
Okay.
Nearly impossible because of all the trees and everything. If you have waders and you're out in the middle of the mill race, you probably wouldn't bother anybody anyway, but.
Just wanted to see a fish that someone catches in the Oneonta Creek. I almost want to put it up as a dare, like, go ahead,
Yeah,
see.
but I think the point that the bigger point is he was practicing there. And I think, you can't say I'm just practicing, I'm not fishing. So you have to really have permission to fish there. So, but anyway, well, I think we can consider it down the road. I think it's a good point, Katie.
Yeah, thanks. And so with regard to putting the receptacle out, sort of the order of operations here, where do you guys land on that? Do you think that that's, and Lou, I know you're going to talk with the constituent and come back with more info. I guess just, just first impressions of the message that sends. I know that was sort of your concern, Lou. Like if we say no fishing and then we put out this receptacle, do we think we're undercutting I just am curious where everybody stands on that.
Do we have a free fishing day scheduled?
No, with COVID, we do not.
'Cause I wonder if that would be a good opportunity to put it out for the people who are there and then just sort of leave
Never
it.
pick it up. Yeah.
Well, I think she's asking us to drive a pole into the ground to hold this thing. So I think it has to be someplace permanent. I don't think we can put it out at Hodges Pond. We have a free youth fishing day. I think over by the mill race somewhere makes sense to me. But like I said, let's just hold off before till I talk to her. And I honestly don't know, other than the picture she sent, what this even looks like. So.
Okay. Then fishing on hold.
Okay, so the other one, Lou, do you remember what the other one was?
There's gravel. and
Oh, the
community
gravel.
garden.
The
Yes.
gravel around the pickleball courts.
Yes, and Lou, we had started to talk about this, but I think just for the sake of the public meeting, right? It's full to
Right.
rehash for everybody.
Right.
And again, so I reached out, so I heard from another council member that a constituent had asked, made a request for gravel around the pickleball and tennis courts. They didn't specify which ones, they didn't specify any reasoning, or at least the message that I got didn't specify those things. And so I reached back out to that council member and asked them for more details, and I just haven't heard back. And so we don't necessarily have to talk about that. Lou, I know you had some first impressions there, but without knowing more, there isn't really anything that we can do about it. But I just, for the sake of acknowledging that correspondence was received, I think that,
Mhm.
you know, it's worth mentioning. And then actually I have two other things. Somebody called me today about something else, but they're both location specific things. And so the one was that our community garden, as we've discussed previously, is really popular. And someone had asked that we consider looking at additional sites to expand that program. And then the other piece is that, again, someone asked another council member about potentially the possibility of having some sort of site in the park. I think Neowa Park would be best suited because it's very flat, for bocce and cornhole and something else, one other of that kind of sport. And so again, those things are sort of site specific. And I think that probably the best course of action would be as a group, maybe not today, but to just look over this, the parks strategic plan, parks master plan, to see where those things fall. Are they already on that list? Is there space for them? You know, because I think sometimes people will see an open field and they'll go, oh, what a great place for whatever. And they don't necessarily know that, you know, 10 years down the road, it's already in the line to be something else. And so if we can just kind of suss that out as a group at some point and then discuss those ideas, because, you know, that being said, you know, if today we decided we wanted it to be, you know, I don't know, a softball field, and then someone was like, oh, can it be a bocce court? And we're like, oh, wait, that's a great idea. That's not to say we can't change our minds. But I think what we really need is like familiarity with those two documents to be able to consider those requests. And Lou, I know you are obviously intimately familiar with them, but I think the rest of us could probably benefit from some time to look into that. But of course, Lou, if you have any initial thoughts or comments that you want to make on
You know,
those
I'm always
requests.
going to say something, Katie.
I know, you
can't
got it.
stand it.
The floor is
Well,
yours.
I will tell you that I cannot recall for sure if bocce is in the Parks Master Plan. Maybe Brett can, but I cannot remember. But bocce has been mentioned in the past. People want a bocce court. It's apparently popular. Cornhole, I think, is popular with a lot of youth now, and it looks like a really fun thing. That is not mentioned in the master plan. However, these are all things that this commission could put on the parks priority list down the road that can be looked at. I will go back and look at the parks master plan. Bocce courts may have been mentioned on there somewhere. I can't remember for sure, but there's nothing wrong with the commission saying, look, this has been suggested. Maybe it's something we got to put on our list and be considered down the road after we've all looked at the master plan. You know, I think you could add 1 million facilities to the park with people that mention things as they go along. That doesn't mean they're not worth considering. I think that they are worth considering. I think right now we've got a lot going on in our parks, a lot of things under construction. So I'm kind of nervous about taking on more projects right at this point, but that doesn't mean we can't add them to the list.
I do recall back in the 70s, there was bocce. Do you remember that, Lou?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
It was popular. So bocce,
Extremely
I love
popular.
bocce.
yes, it would be a permanent facility, I guess. But
We talked about putting that in over by the Longhouse Pavilion for something to help accommodate that pavilion, because it's a nice long area that's
right,
there.
and it's flat. Mhm.
Yeah. And it's underused. It's really underused. So I think that the potential for bocce is there.
Cool.
And that would really be neat. But with cornhole, would that be just something that we could purchase and people could rent it, like the pavilion? Is that
Yeah,
what
that
we-
sounds Cool.
I think if you put it in, it would be better if you had something permanent that they could bring their own bags to throw
Okay,
in there
all
and
right.
stuff like that. I think renting stuff, then you have to have somebody from the city who can be available on a Saturday or Sunday and give it to them, or come to my office and pick it up on Friday and return it Monday. That's, that's
Yeah, that would
actually
be
the city getting into the policy of renting facility,
right.
renting programming stuff. I mean,
Equipment.
facilities is what we do. I think build a permanent facility that people can use. I think
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Cool.
They're both great ideas.
Yeah, I think it's something we can definitely put on our list. And like I said, next meeting, I'll look at bocce and see if it's on the master plan. And
Cool,
you
thanks,
all are
Louise.
welcome to do that too.
Okay, I don't recall seeing it, Katie, or,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
but
either.
they're great ideas.
Isn't there,
Well, and
isn't
again,
there a
there-
shuffleboard somewhere? Or
That
there
might have been the
was?
third thing. That might have been
Yeah.
the third.
Because
Shuffleboard.
that's like those three seem to go hand in hand in my mind. So if there was like, if it's been there in the past, where was it? Can all those three things be put together in the same area?
Mhm, good idea.
I don't remember the last two being even mentioned up until now.
But bocce was over, I believe, near the pool that is no
It was near the
longer,
pool.
wasn't
I
it?
think it
Yes,
might have been along that large.
It was.
Longhouse
Yes.
Pavilion somewhere.
yes.
I think you're right.
'Cause, Katie, the
And-
colognes were big in bocce.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Remember?
yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was a big European game that came here, so it was very popular.
Yeah.
And those are nice sports too that foster tournaments that like
Mhm.
everybody can participate in.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a nice way to use the parks.
And families. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Right.
No athletic ability required.
Right.
Right.
Very little.
And as for the community garden, and this may be a completely far out idea, but I'm sitting here on Rose Ave and out my window, I can see the old Coddingtons and it's just sitting there. I don't know who owns it or what the plans are for it, but it would be lovely to have a community greenhouse, perhaps.
Ooh.
My orchids there on vacation.
Is there a community garden or is it run privately up by Fox Hospital? Is anybody aware of that?
No.
I'm not
There's
familiar.
a fenced in area. It's where the parking lot is off of Fifth Avenue or Fifth Street. There at one spot in time there were houses there. I don't even think there's any houses left. And there are park benches inside, and it's a fenced in area, and I believe it's supposed to be used as a community garden. By what organization? I don't know. Or
Carolyn, it's Bonnie. I'm a little familiar with that. I
Oh,
believe
thank
it was
you.
a Girl Scout initiative
Whoa.
that started that, I believe. And you probably can
Nice.
get more information from the foundation office at Fox Hospital.
oh, cool. Okay. So Bonnie, is that through the hospital then, or?
I think it's Fox Hospital property.
Okay.
And it is an initiative through the Girl Scouts to have that fenced in area, that green space, I believe, but don't quote me.
Okay.
Starting point.
Okay.
I'll look into that a little bit. But I think you raise a good point, Libby, which is that, the one is obviously centrally located and beautiful and everybody wants to get in there. But, if they could be sort of in neighborhoods around the city, that would definitely be more convenient for more people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it would be, I'm not sure, I don't know a whole lot about greenhouses, but might be more accessible in the winter, and it's a beautiful building. And I just sort of I'd hate to think of it, eventually the roof collapsing or it's just kind of sitting abandoned. I'm not sure, what the plan is with it, but I'd love to see some plants back in there.
We have talked about expanding the community gardens. I don't know when that will happen. You are aware that the community gardens is really successful now because with the help of the grant that we got, I believe 3 years ago now, that grant came through. And that's, what made the gardens as pretty as it is now, and a lot of work from a lot of volunteers there as well. So, but we have talked a few times, there is more space in Swart Wilcox to expand that area. But I'm not going to tell you that it's on the list to do next year. I don't know that I don't even know that that's, I don't even know if that's on our priorities list. We might want to look at that, expanding the gardens.
There's also some talk a couple years ago about doing a community garden up at the Circle Park on Maple Street, up by Bugby.
Oh, cool.
So that might be another place to consider.
Yeah. I think there's on the hill behind me up here, somebody has a plot up there also on, what's that road that runs at the base of the SUNY? Not Central, but no, it's not the big street. It's just the small one up. I'm on Spruce. It's above Spruce.
Monroe Ave.
Yeah, somewhere up there. There's one. I'm terrible with streets.
I think it's Monroe Avenue.
Yeah. I believe that's correct. I've only lived on this corner for 20 years. So, yeah. Anything else on community gardens or anything like this? I'm got neighborhood plots stuff. I like that idea a lot. Any other petitioner stuff? Are we finished? I'm like, all of a sudden my brain just.
I did have a coworker, City of Oneonta resident, not in where I am, ask once again about the basketball courts, and they were saying they go to Cooperstown and they're in Hartwick and the hoops are up there.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
I can't tell you anything different than what we've already
that's
said.
because that's what I told him. I said, I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to be up, but
they can be up. They can. If they are able to offer supervised activities there, it's possible.
Okay,
because we cannot offer supervised activities within the parks.
Yeah. Okay. Because
unless Libby, you'd like to volunteer to do that.
No, thank you. Yeah, because I know he's part of.
I suspect that's why they're doing it, because clearly they're in Otsego County. So I don't know.
Yeah, because it's the Blendos League, and so I told him, I was like, I don't know, but maybe it was that they had it other places, so I wanted to ask.
I will tell you this, and I was going to say it before Beth signed off here, but we have Greg, myself, and Dr. Georgeson and Heidi Bondi have been working with Blendos with Cam, and he has given us 2 versions of a safety plan, very good. We've given him some recommendations for it, and he has done the things that we've recommended. We are trying to work with him about, I think Greg just sent an email to council today, letting them know that we're very close to being able to offer Cam some very controlled situations inside the armory.
Okay.
To allow some basketball. But it hasn't all been approved yet, but that's where we are right now.
Okay.
The council could say, great. They could say, not great. I don't know. But that's where we are. I think we're going to be able to allow him something there.
Okay. That's great. Cam is such a wonderful,
I understand.
Wonderful person.
He is.
And this was, as I said, it was one of those things like, oh, you're on Parks and Rec. Can you ask? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I know what the answer is going to be, but I have fulfilled my duty to my constituents.
yes, you have fulfilled your duties. So,
Okay.
so,
Okay, thanks, Libby. Any other business or correspondence?
I have new business, Beth. Is
New
that what you're
business,
talking
yes.
for?
Yes, new business.
Oh, okay. I would like the commission to consider my recommendation for possibly making a new park rule on metal detection within our city parks. I'm concerned because I don't want to say a lot. There are people doing metal detections within the park that, and the reason why I'm concerned about it is there's a few things. Number one, there's a lot of power lines in the park. We don't allow somebody to drive a stake into the ground when they rent the park space without going through Dig Safely New York. But people who metal detect, they're not necessarily looking for things that are laying on the ground. They're looking for things that are underground, and they have to dig to find those things. I can't tell you with any sense of knowledge how far they dig, but I know that they do create divots. Those divots make it dangerous for people when they walk, certainly make it a liability for people when they're playing a sport. So I'm concerned about this activity happening in our city parks.
Also, anytime there's like metal detecting on Law and Order, they always find a dead body. So I think it will increase our chances.
Well, I just think it's not a safe thing. I think it's hard to preserve the beauty of our park and to keep liability issues down on our fields, allowing that activity within our city parks. Any comments by any of you? What do you think?
Well, I've always sort of considered metal detecting sort of harmless. So I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where that's a problem. So it'd be a rule saying absolutely no metal detection?
Well,
No digging?
No digging?
I don't think you have to come up with a rule. I just think you have to decide if this is something that you're opposed to having happen in the park, or you support happening in the park. Because I think after you all say what you think, I think then I probably need to write up some kind of rule and send it on to council, because I don't think that, I feel that strongly about it, that I think it needs to be really considered. I don't think we should allow it in our city parks.
Okay, no.
And if you feel differently, that's okay.
I'm just kind of like, never thought metal detecting would be a problem. So I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not theoretic. I mean, I don't know if I feel one way or the other about it. I guess I'm not theoretically opposed to someone with a metal detector as long as they're not digging. If they find some,
but they have to dig.
well, yeah, but I mean, if they find loose change or a pirate has dropped a doubloon on top of the grass.
Well, here's Brett's slippery slope. So you allow metal detecting, but no digging. And so people who come to the park say, oh, look, they allow metal detecting. Now I can go and I can dig. So I think it has to be an either yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't say, sure, you can metal detect, but don't dig. I mean, you know, juxtaposition of that just doesn't work.
You can fish, but don't catch anything.
Right. You can throw your line in, but make sure fish doesn't attach to it.
And if you want to think about this for a while, we can table it till the next meeting. Whatever you want to do. I know it's getting late here.
Yeah, it's 8:03. I'm gonna say let's table if that's okay, because I'm still, but I totally see where the divots in liability is bad.
Well,
I
and power lines,
in power
power
lines
lines.
and
you know.
no, yeah.
Yeah, that's challenging.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
I think there's going to be some negative public perception from that decision. So it might be, and I think especially since folks on the commission want to take some time to think about it and don't feel strongly necessarily one way or another, just maybe inviting some public comment on that, whether it's to the commission or so that we can do it at Common Council, but just to know, how folks in the community feel about it. Because I think that a lot of times people don't hear all the thought going into a decision. They just hear the decision. And then there's, then they have judgment about that. And so I think, like Beth had said, that's not something that anybody had considered. And so, if we bring folks in and kind of hear from them, do they agree one way or the other? And then, you'll have a chance to explain the safety hazards and things like that, that people might feel more involved in the decision rather than banned. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and because until you had brought it up, that's not something I ever thought, oh, that's a major concern.
Right.
But being able to hear that people do, this person does it and this person does it, not to vilify them, but
The reason I'm bringing it up is I get calls and questions, is it allowed? So now what do I tell them? Yes.
okay.
Well, yes, it is, because we don't have a rule against it right now. So yes, it is allowed. However, I feel strongly about it, but you guys can do whatever you want. You're welcome to do what you want. I would be interested to see what council feels about it, Katie.
Yeah, me too. And I can ask tomorrow just for like an initial sort of straw. I mean, I can even just ask them without having any legislative intent. Like, what do you guys think about metal detecting?
And I'm not trying to vilify anybody either.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not.
People might feel that way.
I shudder to think when somebody's doing metal detecting around the caboose where we have so many power lines. I'm just waiting for them to be, it's scary. It's really scary.
Yeah. And I think it is about, letting people know that this issue has come up and to have that public forum and to show this is, we didn't just unilaterally decide we don't want metal detecting. It's because of this reason, this reason, this reason. And we have had this conversation.
I won't tell you how many permit holders are upset when we tell them you can't drive stakes in the ground, you can't put tents up, even though it's on their permit that they have to go through Dig Safely New York. And the reason for that is that exact reason. So we can't let them drive a stake into the ground this big, but we can have somebody digging with their little private digger. I think it's.
I would be, afraid to have, digging how far and what do you do with it? And what do you do to fix that? Who would
and how do we know what kind of level of experience people have? Because children are doing it and adults are doing it.
Digging parks.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, Katie, I'd be interested to see what council has to or thinks
Yeah,
about
I
it.
would too.
Yeah, and I appreciate Lou. I think, as the parks administrator, that's something that is a unique opportunity for you to notice and to bring to us. And so I'm grateful for that because like everyone is saying, like, it's not anything that anyone had considered. And so, I think that it's perfectly fair for you to have a strong opinion because the park so well and the situation so well. And I think I appreciate that, that's something that you can bring to the group so that we can consider it. I say we, I guess I don't consider anything at this level, but
I'm agreeing. We get this backlash a bit on basketball hoops. So just trying to maybe get word out about metal detecting might ease some of that,
Right.
So that's
right. I think anytime constituents understand why a decision was made, it's received better. So that's my mission, like on council. And so just through this post as liaison, if I can offer that to this group, especially with something where people who do that hobby, they're going to be upset for sure.
Yeah.
And
And I,
so,
and I think particularly now, because people are being told, no, 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 no. This
yes,
is something they see they can just go and do. And,
totally.
and so I
mean-
think you're right. I don't think it's the end of the world if I'm told no, but I think people ought to know that I think it's a slippery slope. Brett.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Well, my curiosity on this is also with the metal detecting divots and stuff like that. If you put that out there that this is a problem, it almost seems like if you're digging into the parks and you're not an administrator or staff, that's vandalism as well.
It could be.
So,
True.
so that language might be something to
Mhm.
consider. You know, if you can metal detector, but if you're digging, it's vandalism and you will be fined.
In the past, we've asked them not to do it on fields, but I've seen it done almost everywhere in Newa Park. And
Right.
almost always on fields, but Newa Park is fields. I mean,
Yeah.
it's plain fields. I mean, you go there on a normal fall weekend, you have 10 soccer fields going.
Yeah.
In that park. So almost everything's a soccer field.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's probably enough on that. So thanks for
Set up
listening.
a
anyway.
community dig zone.
Now down by
Excavation.
the gardens. I think that's, now we can dig and plant something in the gardens. So
Yes.
there we go. The gardeners might not want me to say that, but
Okay. Thanks, Lou. Any other business? Okay. I move to adjourn at 8:10 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
I will be on vacation from 5/12 to 26. So gonna go see the grandkids. I hope you all have a good time as well. Thank you.
Have a safe trip.
Yes,
Thank you.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
10.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.